Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday out there. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co host, Trey Holiday. And you guys know I do this with my co host over here, Big O. What's up, Big O? Happy Tuesday, bro.
Hey, what's up, Treyana? How are you today?
I'm well, man. Ready to get this week going. You know what I'm saying? Got a great start yesterday. Ready to continue, bro.
All right, you see that we got a little sunshine here today. So they raised up the windows here in the studio. We don't know how long it's gonna last, and so they closed the blinds earlier. I was like, man, you guys need to open it all the way up. We're gonna try to
Yeah,
soak up a little sunlight we might get out here today. But otherwise,
absolutely.
everything is good on this side, man. I'm actually, I'm feeling all right. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of positivity popping off. I mean, amongst all the other stuff, of course.
Absolutely, man. You're looking great.
Man, so yeah, I can't wait. I think you'll probably be back here in the studio next week, huh?
Awesome, man. Great to be back with you. I'll be excited.
Yeah, it's exactly. So we got a few things going on today. Today's a bit of an abbreviated show because we have another production right after this. But a big deal for me. I'm not even gonna lie. Now, over the last 4 months, I've done a lot of stuff. I've been on a lot of different TV shows. ABC, Nightline embedded with me. I was on NBC, CBS, CNN, BBC, CBC. I've been on all kinds of panels and everything else, but this right here, my friend, this I'm so excited about. This is the Seattle Association of Black Journalists, the SABJ. SABJ. And man, I'm the guest speaker there on November 14th. It's gonna be dope. This is a fundraiser here, and tickets are only $10, and it's a fundraiser to help uplift voices of up and coming journalists. I think you can tell, like, the way I'm talking about, like, this is a big deal. Let me tell you why it's a big deal though. Guess who's coming here to Converge Studios to interview me?
Uh-oh. Tell us.
Joyce Taylor.
Ah, the
Yo,
Joyce Taylor,
I
King
so
Five.
so King Five, Joyce Taylor. So this is a true story. So we're on this Zoom call, right? And they're like, "Oh, Mari, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be like our keynote, or our person we're interviewing this year." And I was like, "Yo, cool." And so we're sitting there, and they're like, "Well, social distance, everything. Should we do it on Zoom or do it in studio?" And I'm telling them, like, "Yo, our studio is very big. We got plenty of space here." But I told Joyce Taylor, I was like, "Yo, Joyce, I done been on a lot of different stuff and shows and everything, but I said people are really gonna think Big O made it if Joyce Taylor comes to the Converge Studios, right?" I said the whole hood's gonna be like, "Yo, Joyce Taylor's in the studio." And so she started laughing and everything, man. And she was like, "Yeah, I'm a beat her." So I'm really excited. November 14th, Joyce Taylor is going to be right here in Converge Media Studios. And that's like, I'm already kind of nervous about it, but it's for a really good cause. You know what I'm saying? Seattle Association of Black Journalists.
You know what? Big shout out to you, Big O. I mean, this is monumental. This is huge for Converge. It is huge for you personally. It really is a big deal, and I think that it shines a true testament to the work that Converge and you yourself have been doing. You really have been holding it down. And I'll just say this too, Joyce Taylor. I started my career at King Five. And I started on the morning show. So I was waking up super early to do production with Joyce Taylor. And I'll say she's one of the sweetest spirits, man. She was always so kind to me, never showcased any kind of, weird, she was always like there. So I love knowing that she will bring herself to the Converge Studios. It's awesome.
Man, I'm telling you, I told these guys, I said, before Joyce Taylor get here, we gonna do deep cleaning, we gonna do this and that. I mean,
Make it right.
it's something special when we're in our space. And like I said, it's nothing against all the other platforms that I've been on. You know what I'm saying, and the national and international platforms and everything else. But it's something special when we're just in our space with our people. So let me put this back up here. You can go to Eventbrite. Yo, if you support, you're a supporter of Converge, you're a supporter of what we're doing, help us support to elevate up and coming black voices in journalism. Tickets only $10. You can go to eventbrite.com, put in my name, or either put in SABJ, and this page will pop up right here. It's November 14th for Excellent Cause. And it's just super excited about it.
Oh man, I'm so excited for you. Congrats, bro.
All right. Moving along, speaking of media, it turns out that our former police chief now also has a job in media there at King 5 as a consultant. This aired last night, and King 5 made a big announcement about Chief Carmen Best joining their team.
Carmen Best has joined King 5 as a law enforcement analyst just a few weeks after she retired from the department where she had spent nearly 30 years. And she is still paying attention to her former colleagues and the fight over funding. All right. So Carmen, what's new?
Well, first, I'm just glad to be here chatting with you.
Carmen Best is now out of uniform, enjoying a new life away from SPD.
Yeah, I've been working for a private security company, doing some corporate security work, handling their Middle East, Europe, Asia, Africa, and North America accounts.
Yet Best acknowledges she's still keeping her ear to the ground, so to speak, on what's happening in Seattle, like the mass departures from her now former department in the wake of council-led cuts. Documents obtained by King 5 today show multiple officers cite city politics for their departure, including one who wrote in an HR exit interview, "I refuse to work for this socialist city council."
It breaks my heart because this was completely foreseeable under the circumstances. I think a lot of people in the department were working really hard to ensure that we had a plan going forward that would not have officers leaving the organization. But unfortunately, the politics played a great role, and I think it's still playing a great role in, officers staying and working. And there's a need here.
Best will provide analysis to the funding debate, as well as any discussion about election security and civil unrest. She says it's an extension of her career in Seattle.
So much of my life has been spent in public safety and civic engagement and a whole host of things that I enjoy. That's really in my DNA, and I certainly don't expect to stop being engaged at any level that I can. So it's really important to me to stay involved.
Yes, Best will still be involved, just from a different perspective this time around, as the council discusses those further cuts in the committee this week. As we reported last week, already more than 100 officers have left the department just this year.
All right, so former Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best didn't let any grass grow under her feet, and apparently really must love the city because she's sticking around here, going over to King 5. She's going to be consultant over there. What are your thoughts?
I think that it's, for me, it's great to hear that her expertise will be utilized in another way, that it'll still go on and that it'll still have a presence in the city and maybe beyond. I mean, clearly, what she's doing, it sounds like what she's doing at this, private security firm is allowing her expertise to, look over these kind of global accounts. So it's just great to hear that her expertise is still being utilized. I mean, I think she clearly has a lot of expertise, and it's just happy to hear. I'm happy to hear this.
All right, so yeah, so Chief Best sticking around, and it was a few different areas of opinion. I just checked in with people, saw what they thought. Some people, are like, well, there's a pretty tight relationship between the Seattle Police Department and local media. Of course, you had Amy Clancy go from Cairo over to the Seattle Police Department, and now you've got Chief Best go from the Seattle Police Department over to King. A lot of people I talked to in the community was like, man, go get the bag, black girl. They got us here. She's like, yeah, I'm doing this and that. I'm around the world. I'm on the place. So you got some people who feel that way. Who are just happy to see. I mean, a lot of people didn't really have an issue with Chief Best per se. A lot of people had an issue with the systems of the Seattle Police Department. So when people hear that she's going over to King 5, didn't really hear a lot of direct negatives at her. One thing that's interesting, though, right? My observation on this is that people put investment. You only put investment where you think a trend is going, right? And so it's like, for years people have had an aviation specialist because of course Boeing is here, right? And then as the tech boom grew, all the TV stations and radio and even the newspapers, they have their tech experts, who can give you all this insight on the tech industry. And the thing is, local media is now hiring experts around like crime. You know what I'm saying? And police. So I'm wondering where King 5 might feel that the trend is going in our city. You know what I'm saying? To where you put an investment. I'm sure Chief Best didn't come cheap. You know what I'm saying? You put an investment in bringing somebody like a Chief Best on. Do people feel like, we're going to need more expertise to tell us about crime and crime patterns and policing?
Well, one of the interesting things about media too is that they always have kind of experts, right? That they are either have that they are going to contract with, or they're going to need them on specific cases, so they get them per project. But this is not necessarily the newest thing with media, because they always have experts. What I'm happy about is that they recognize that Chief Best really holds a lot of expertise that will come at their disposal in times of need. So for me to hear this, I'm just happy that they recognize it in Chief Best.
I think the bigger point I'm trying to make is if it was times of peace, you don't invest in somebody, an expert who can tell you about crime. Is the whole point I'm saying. Is it's like if Boeing wasn't here in the Northwest, the TV stations wouldn't have an aviation expert. And so if people are putting an investment in being able to talk about, crime issues. I mean, people are already saying, will crime be going up? Is crime going to be a further issue here? And maybe that's why they invest. The flip side of it is, the chief very well might have other ambitions well beyond this, and being there on King 5 might keep her voice in her face in the public space. You never know. A lot of people talking about the chief running for mayor or some other higher ambitions, and what better way to be able to stay relevant to the voters of the city of Seattle than to be on a flat platform like, say, a King 5 or something like that. Because if you throw your hat in the race, you've already stayed relevant to the viewers. So we'll see how this one plays out.
Right. Another thing to follow up on. Definitely.
Somebody was talking to somebody in the CD last night. They was like, "Run, black girl, run." So you never know. You might find the chief running for some kind of office here in the very near future, and this might just be a first step in that plan. Let's see here. What we got? Another good one here is Sawant. Here we go here. So let me put this up real quick, and then we're gonna go to this clip from Sawant. And this is Sawant's got the people's budget, which has been going strong now for years. Yesterday, Julie C. talked about the solidarity budget. Then you got people who are just focused on this $100 million budget. So CapitolHillSeattle.com. These guys up there, the article, Black-led organizations, Sawant at odds with mayor over community's role on how city of Seattle spends, right? And this is by Ben Adlin at CapitolHillSeattle.com. And also something I want to take a second here to point out, because somehow people think that I have some kind of issue with the Councilmember Sawant. And I just want to set something straight here. There's absolutely there's no elected official in Seattle that I've done more interviews with than Councilmember Shama Sawant. I've got going back for like almost 3 years, whether it was podcasts, whether it was covering down in the council member's office, whether it was there at Black Dot and everything else. There's actually no elected official that I've talked to or interviewed more and got their opinion more of than Councilmember Sawant. I mean, I ask him, my brother's running for office. If he wins, I'm going to be asking him questions too. So, I mean, wanting answers from people and having a dislike for someone, it's two totally different things. So anyways, I want to bring this up, Triana. I interviewed the council member well before the protest and well before whatever. Back in January of this year, the council member had won election a few months previously by less than 1,500 votes. Very tight election. And my question to council member Sawan at the time was like, what role did the black community play in getting you this election since it was 1,500 votes?
I really think that our black community members have not only played a huge role in making sure that we win our re-election, but also on every issue, all the way from the way to address police brutality and racial profiling to the affordable housing crisis that is disproportionately affecting our black community members. And that is why this movement cannot be built without you all.
All right. That was January of this year. I got archives. I don't have, I
Right.
don't, I got archives on them. And that was actually me and my son. We went down there to the council member's office and interviewed council member Sawant. But what she was saying right there in that interview was like, man, that she owes a big part of this victory to the black community kind of showing up and pushing her over the top. Like I said, 1,500 vote difference. Right now, we're getting ready to go. People are talking about budgets. So, question for you, Triana. There's the people who are focused on this 100 million. There's the solidarity budget now, which King County Equity Now, which you're a part of, and DCRIM and all these other organizations are part of. And now Sawant is having her town hall meeting tonight with her people around the people's budget. And are all of these things working together, or is it different, or is the council member working with KCEN, or is the council member has her own thing with the people's budget? Let me share some of your thoughts.
Well, I think that there's room for this, right? I think that there may be possible room. You'll begin to see a lot of overlap with what we're talking about. I think holistically looking at budgets, a lot of what is being proposed is that there are more folks involved in the process. That's really at the forefront of so much of this. So much of the framework of Sawant's people's budget, the reasons why it's called the people's budget, is to reflect the needs of the people. And so you see that there are some real shared values here that may find itself in possible alignment down the pike. What I will say is that it is exciting to see the various approaches to the norm, what we have known as the old normal tactics and the old normal approaches. That's what really inspires me, is that we do have such vitality in our city and throughout King County, where folks are really trying to get engaged and find new ways to do budgeting. And so I think that there may be some real alignment here, and maybe there's a possibility for this. You said it. We've spoken to Shama Sawant a lot. We may have to see if there's a way to merge all of this. But I think in terms of what we see with the solidarity budget, that's really what the solidarity budget is trying to do. And we heard Julie C. speak on that yesterday. You're muted.
I'm glad I brought this up about our history here interviewing Councilmember Sawant. Somebody posted a good comment here. Dora Elisa Vega. Well, you're always calling her Trey's girl in a joking way. Maybe people taking it as if she's not your girl. Now, that's not it. The very first time that the council member came and we did an interview, and actually, I was supposed to do the interview, and then it was like they hit it off in pre-interview so well. I'm like, yo, that's your girl. That's just how we talk around here. And so that's what it stuck. You know what I'm saying? So it was actually a positive thing because their chemistry hit off so well. It was my first time meeting the council member. I don't know if you knew the council member Sawant before that. My first time, and I was going to interview her. And, it was your first time meeting her as well?
Yeah.
Actually, it was.
Then
I started talking about like cooking. Remember pre-interview, you're talking about, what kind of food do you cook? And it was like, that's like your girl, man. You should do the interview. And so that's where that comes from. So thank you, Dora Elisa Vega, for our opportunity to kind of clear that up. So yeah. I'm
A
not.
real fan who knows that about you always throwing that jab. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm saying that's your people.
You
I
know?
mean, it's all good at that. Well, I mean, so here's my question to you though, Trana, is Council Member Sawant and her party and the People's Budget. Do you know if they're in any active conversations right now with King County Equity Now or the Solidarity Budget team? According to this article here, and I got too much of a stack of stuff right now, but the article in this CapitolSeattle.com, it says that the People's Budget effort, as developed by grassroots advocates and based on the needs of working people. So, I mean, clearly that sounds like some of the same things that everybody else is saying. But to this point, do you know if there's any conversation or collaboration between the People's Budget and Councilmember Sawant and King County Equity Now?
Not that I know of. And this is why the way I answer the question is really to speak about, possibilities, right, in the near future as we see real alignment here. And I think that what that article just described is also what I was saying. There really is a sense of shared value here, and really thinking about an innovative approach to budgeting that both of these kind of budget processes are really having at the forefront of their framework. So, we'll see. I may have to reach out.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this is the budget. This is the time. I mean, no matter where you stand on these issues, people say that you put the money where your real values are at. So it's all this talk. Let's see where people put the money at. Moving along here, and just a reminder to everybody, we've got an abbreviated show today, so we're gonna be in a bit short. Where is this at? Here it is. The everyday marchers. So the everyday marchers, they've retooled and they've hit the streets, and every day this week they're in a different district, taking basically the message to the streets. Last night they're in Queen Anne area, and City Council member Andrew Lewis came out and talked to the marchers.
So, we've got a lot of state legislators that might be willing to help us, but we're also going to need to do a lot of pushing, right? Because it's statewide, right? So you've got you've got some state legislators that are really horrible.
We're good at pushing.
Yeah, totally. That's why I was like, when I saw that you guys were down here, I was like, I'm gonna go down and ask him if we can.
I wouldn't call it pushing. I would just say
good at keeping our foot on the gas.
So
all right, so everybody has a different approach to this, but Andrew Lewis, he said, "Man, I saw you guys out here, so I came out to hook up with them." Also, this group yesterday, they hung a defund SPD banner over the Aurora Tunnel, over the new tunnel over there. But what are your thoughts, Trana, of Andrew Lewis, Council Member Lewis, coming out and meeting with the everyday marchers?
Well, I think it's important. We, right here on this platform have called for leadership to come out. And I think that connecting your work to the voice of the folks on the ground is imperative right now. We're seeing a lot of council members, as we heard with Council Member Mosqueda, now, Council Member Lewis, coming out. It's important that these discussions and conversations are being had and that there is some type of way to figure out what it is that folks want. How do we change this system? I think acknowledging that there needs to be change is already there. We saw that with House Bill 1918, right? It's clear that the racist practices, the histories of the past have led to where we are today. And that in order for us to change the trajectory of the future, we really do need to make some strong pivots and some reform and maybe even tossing systems out and replacing them entirely in certain respects. And I think that, what they said there, the everyday marchers applying that, everyday pressure. Once again, it's great to see, Council Member Lewis come out and connect with them.
All right. Back down to City Hall, or keep it in City Hall, is right here. This is our fellow Bulldog, Dan Beekman from the Seattle Times. Durkan's budget includes elimination of $30 million equity fund. And what Dan says is, as she grapples with the city's finances, Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan's budget plans include eliminating $30 million fund created last year to combat displacement and advance community equity via real estate investments in development projects. Your thoughts on that, Triana?
Yeah, we've heard several folks who are really working in this respect speak on this. We heard, several opinions, and one that really stuck out to me is to say it's important. Julie C was saying this. It's important that we look at where this money is coming from. She's also echoing the statements of Councilmember Mosqueda. I mean, this is real. Understanding where the mayor plans on pulling these funds from to kind
When you
of
say
do
the
these.
funds, you're saying the 100 million, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. This 100 million. If that money is coming from the money that just came last year to work towards displacement and disrupting that entire gentrification system, it's important that folks understand that, because that is a part of what is needed right now. That is a part of what the researchers are collecting out here. Over 700 surveys so far, and more to come, where folks are saying they need housing. So it's important that people understand where the mayor is, really looking to pull this money from. Again, taking this kind of strong soundbite to say there's going to be this huge investment directly in the Black communities with this $1 billion. Folks immediately went, okay, where are you going to get the money? And so this is something we're going to have to follow for a while, I believe, though.
All right. Got some feedback over here. So on Erica Paulette Irwin, Andrew Lewis is neglecting his district. Lots of council members creep on EDM's Instagram. Lewis came out to talk before on 2020 budget cycle and then didn't hold up his word. We got something else over here too. I can't find it now, but it basically said coming out and talking to people de-escalates things. So,
Smart comments, guys.
Yeah, no, keep the comments coming. As far as the mayor, said, I'm gonna follow back up with the spokesperson there. The mayor basically said though that she's not gonna be robbing Peter to pay Paul.
She did. And the truth of the matter is that that's why people are going to be so microscopically looking at where she's pulling funds. Again, I think that, and I'll say this, you've heard me say it before, what we're hearing and what we're even talking about right now really spotlights the growing mistrust that a lot of folks in community have when it comes to politics and politicians. And unfortunately, the mayor kind of doing this task force over participatory budgeting and really listening to the people, there's still a growing concern that unfortunately she's doing these sound bites and may not hold up her end of the bargain, as we've seen in other respects. And so it's important that we, again, be looking at all of these details.
Right. Well, we'll see. I think that everybody's big concern about this 100 million is it going to take away from other existing services that are serving people within the community. But yeah, it's the word right now. The 30 million equity fund is I mean, see, the problem is this, right? Is I just don't think people are just being realistic. Like, we just got to be able to face some hard truths. We getting hit as a city. Like, man, like COVID is killing Seattle 100%. It's killing Seattle. Downtown. Well over 100 businesses that are closed. There's a juice place that's right around the corner from our studio. And when we first came over here, we'd go there every day. Now they're closed, and it says business for sale, which means they're not coming back. And so, people need to be mindful of like where, if there's money that's really there. You see what I'm saying? I mean, so like 100 million is a round number, but maybe it's like supposed to be 75 because there's really not 100. You get what I'm saying? Like, I
Right.
mean, we have to all be honest, with each other as what's going on, and that's the only way that we can really move forward as a city. Because it's like, man, we're being realistic about what's there, what's available, what expectations are, and some of everything else. And if people are making promises that they can't keep in the way that that they presented it, and they know it up front, then that's disingenuous. Now, I'm not saying that's the case here, but we're going to see if it plays out like that. Then clearly that is the case. But I think that right now there's just a lack of people kind of all around this situation here that aren't realizing the seriousness of what's going on. And if somebody just needs to come, like I said, then come through downtown Seattle. Go down first, go down second, go down third, go down fourth, and these businesses is gone. You know what I'm saying? They're not just closed up. They don't have amended hours. They're gone. So, I mean, it's a lot happening here as far as decline of business, decline of jobs, decline of revenue, and everything else. And that pot is actually just getting smaller at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're so right about being realistic about this and, really looking at where we need the support, how we need direct investment right now in particular industry sectors to really create a pillow so that there's not this huge pitfall. You're describing something that's going to be really hard for us as an American economy, not just Seattle,
Yeah.
but just American economy for us to lift ourselves up out of. And it's important that we really think about in 2021 that nationally there's some real solutions presented. I think that's why this election is so important because we're seeing such huge declines. You're saying it right now. And I think that you're absolutely right. Being realistic about what funds are even available is a smart place to be thinking right now.
Yeah, I mean, now is the time for everybody. If people have never been honest before and never been, exact and matter of fact, now is the time. People appreciate bad news if you can be honest with them straight up about it. Like, nah, we just ain't got it. Okay, thanks for telling me now so I can go somewhere else and look for it. As opposed to like, yeah, we got you, and then we don't got you. We're gonna take a short break right now. When we come back, it's Ruby Holland. Big salute to Ruby Holland.
Yes,
Ruby Holland.
Ruby.
She keeps feeding me all this info. I'm eating it up, Ruby Holland. So anyway, her big thing right now is Diddy announcing a new political party, our Black Party. So we're gonna talk about that on the other side of the break. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
My parents coming over here as refugees meant that they didn't really have anything when they came to America. Having reliable healthcare and having a reliable doctor was really important. Cộng đồng của tôi, trạm y tế của tôi.
我的社区，我的诊所。Mi comunidad, mi clínica.
بوشدة هي بقارها.
My community, my clinic.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm Trey Holiday.
My name is Omari Salisbury, and we're reunited. We're here again.
And it feels so good.
Oh, yeah. Producer Nikki Barron said I say all right too much. She's like, every segment that we cut, it's always all right. So I'm trying to think now because I'm leading into another segment, and I was getting ready to just say all right again. Mm, I'm gonna have to work on that one, Nikki.
There we go.
So what I was saying before the break is that Ruby stayed up. So Ruby's been staying on top of this stuff. She's been staying on top of this Ice Cube thing, and then also, the latest is Diddy. And for you guys that don't know, I'm talking about Sean Puffy Combs. These days goes by Diddy. You might remember him as Puff Daddy back in the day. So anyway, Diddy's out here, and Diddy's like, yo, man. Just launching a new black political party, and basically it's called, Our Black Party, and or a variation, something like that. But basically what he's saying is like black people for far too long have just toed the line one way or another of the big political parties. And he's saying that, their number one goal of our black party is to defeat Trump. So they want Trump out of office. And then 2, to hold Biden accountable. And 3, to start building economic, of course, but political power across the country. What are your thoughts?
I'll tell you my initial thought. And my initial thought is, go Diddy. I mean, I'm going to tell you like this. For me, we need huge reform. This is why I uplift anybody using their platform right now to do real change, to promote real change, to encourage real change, to come up with plans that will execute real change. This is what I'm talking about. I think it's going to take all of the celebrities that we know of. They have what a lot of folks think of as the most power just because of their status, who they roll with. We think celebrities have this kind of status and things that random folks don't have, but together, everybody standing in solidarity. It's kind of my life's work. So I'll be honest when I say that, to hear Ice Cube and Diddy, to see Cardi B, to see these guys really stand up and say, look, we need to do what's right here. We need to, utilize all of these fans, all of this, visibility I have to create something new and to promote real change. It makes me excited.
All right, so let's dig a little deeper in this. And first of all, so I think that there's a few misnomers, not so much about Diddy per se. And let me throw this in here real quick. Yes, Kimberly, I did replace you know what I'm saying with all right. The thing is this, is that I think a lot of people think that somebody like Diddy or Ice Cube or Cardi B is sitting at home on their iPhone and being like, ooh, let's go, launch a political party or something like that, or let's go launch a plan. Usually these type of people are active in some kind of movement that's ongoing, and then what's happening is because they have the biggest voice or biggest platform that they're the ones out front, and of course it works. Like Ice Cube would tell you, like, he didn't sit there and write his contract with Black America. Him and a team of people. But like, man, how's this team of unknowns gonna get anything out? You see what I'm saying? And so they're using their platform to be able to get the word out. Now, when brands use our celebrities to get their word out, we never say anything, right? So when all of these brands go, nobody said anything when Diageo used Diddy to get the name of Ciroc out there. You see what I'm saying? Or all the different designers that use Cardi to get their designs out there. But when it comes to political policies and things like that, it's all like, oh my God, why who is this person to say this or that, right? But beyond that, I would say that if you look here at Seattle, national politics, it's just a whole nother issue. Look here at Seattle, and I'm not endorsing anybody. That's not my role. I know, you might feel differently, but people are like, yeah, vote Democrat. And black people have been in constant decline some of this stuff's been 90+% Democrat in this city. You know, I mean, all the way from a Democratic mayor to a Democratic county executive to Democratic city council to a Democratic mayor to a Democratic school board, and black people in this city have been in a tailspin, my friend. So
Yes.
when somebody's telling me like, oh, you know, you just need to toe the party line, and really the party line hasn't benefited my community, that makes me think that, like, you know what, it might be time for some independent thought, and maybe it's about time that people look at like, okay, what issues are going to benefit my community best, no matter who the person is who might be running for office. And that's something that we don't really look at. I mean, just look at the numbers, look at the graph. I mean, I'm sure we got them somewhere in the computer. Black people have been in constant decline in this city under all Democratic leadership, from the most local level, probably from dog catcher all the way up to governor. So, you know, I mean, I'm open to hear people say other things.
Yeah. You know what? Oh, I think what you just described is so right. First of all, we have to think about how these measures, how they're voting, how their policies that they push, how it actually equals real wins in our communities. And we haven't seen a lot of real wins. We have not. So you're so right when you talk about this two-party system. I mean, even my brother, I'll just talk about this from a personal perspective. My brother's somebody who's like, look, I'm not trying to vote for Biden. I'll just vote for whoever the third person is because he doesn't trust either one. This idea is a growing concern in our community. There's a lot of young folks, a lot of even middle-aged folks like myself who is like, if these are our options, how do we actually present some real change for our communities? And I think one of the ways to do that is by whoever's in office holding them accountable to have some real measures to have direct impact in our communities. And I think seeing, you know, this plan maybe with Diddy, you know, this plan with Ice Cube, that's maybe a part of going in the right direction.
Yeah, I was reading something earlier when I was reading the article there on Essence, and it said black people will never have the political power if they leave the Democratic Party. You know, I mean, they won't have political power. Well, you put your historian hat on a little bit. I'm a little rusty about this, but you know, it was actually the Republican Party that was the first party of black people, because you know, you know, the Southerners were the Democrats. Southerners actually founded the Ku Klux Klan. Those were some Democrats, and the people who you know, at the end of the Civil War, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, that was all the Democrat Party. Right? The very first black people to be represented in the U.S. Congress were Republicans. Mm-hmm. And I only say that to say that probably X number of years ago, black people were like, Republican Party's changing, maybe we should go be Democrats. Somebody was probably saying then, well, if we leave Republican, we'll never have no political power. And timeline continues, and here you are now, and people are saying if black people lead a Democratic Party, they won't have political power. But black people have literally left a major party. Black people went from being Republicans to basically Democrats. So, you know, I mean, it's happened before, and it seems like there's just more of a growing sentiment, especially amongst younger black people. But Ruby, that's a community elder, you know what I mean? Ruby's the one who's been sending me all this stuff. So it can't just be a sentiment amongst the youth. Apparently there's elders that are feeling this way as well.
You know what? Well, Ruby is definitely woke, and I'll say that for sure. I mean, Ruby has been on the forefront of a lot of these issues. You know, she's been fighting for disruption of displacement in the community for black homeowners, and it's heavy. I think that, you know, listening to even what you're saying, I think it's why it's important to note that what we just talked about in detailing a bit of Diddy's approach is that, hey, whoever is in office, that there's this other party that really represents black issues, and whoever they are, they're going to have to work with that party to ensure that black folks, you know, have direct impact. I think that to me is a right approach, because technically speaking, we're only 13% of this nation. I think when someone says, you know, black folks won't have any power if they leave the Democratic Party, you're saying, yeah, we left the Republican Party and look at where we are right now in the Democratic Party. I think that part of this is to say, look, we may be a smaller percent of the population in this nation, but collectively we have a lot of power. And creating a collective party, a collective process, a collective system, something that allows for folks nationally to really participate in that form of collectivism for whoever is in office, I think might be the real way to go here, because you're right. I mean, we're smaller, and us creating our own party that then runs for office may be a different way.
Let me tell you something. There's a few approaches to this. There's the beg your way in to get power, political power, and then there's the economic and political power. I mean, all we have to do is look to our brothers and sisters to the north and I-5. I tell people when I was in high school, I used to hang out up there on the Tulalip Reservation, and the Tulalip Reservation was the res. It was like you'd see out of a movie. I mean, it was abject poverty on the Tulalip Reservation, and the Tulalip Indians were considered a marginalized community. Didn't nobody care what the Tulalip said. Didn't want nobody bothered about them. They didn't have no political power, no economic power or anything. And it used to be wild up there. You go talk to them Tulalips today because they have an economic driver, and economics is actually what brings political power. Economics, they got lobbyists down there. Everybody wants to come and talk to the Tulalip Nation or the Puyallups and all these other kinds of things. Their fortunes changed, due to casinos and things, but the bigger point is economic power is actually what brought political power. And we looking at it differently. We're like, well, man, political power will bring us economics. I really think that you say 13 million black people, man, let's focus on building ourselves up, because you know what? The dollar, people always want to dance where the dollar's at. When you got the dollar, everybody likes to hang around a dollar, and especially a stable dollar. If you got a stable dollar, you'll find that anybody wants to come hang with you. But people run away when there are no dollars or there's no stability around the dollars. And that's what we see right here, especially in these reservations here that are around us. In 20, 30 years, we've seen them from being totally marginalized, nobody caring, nobody having a voice. That's the first place politicians want to go right now. Is up, well, what do the Puyallups think? You know what I'm saying? What do the Tulalips think? And that comes from economics. And so, like, from my position, I'm like, these people are running for office, and everybody has a program, but nobody has a policy. Everybody has, well, man, here's how we're gonna give you a Band-Aid. We're gonna give you, here's some money for a Band-Aid, but nobody's ready to cure the disease. And I think that's a bigger issue of what we face in our community.
Yeah, I think this is why direct investment is super important. I mean, you just mentioned, the casinos and the tribes. I think that what natives have in terms of political power definitely resides from economic power, and it's something that we need. One of the things that they also have is collectivism, right? The fact that they are tribal, the fact that they have these unions, that they have these covenants, that they all move as a unit, a lot of them. And maybe it is tribal, but they also have these tribal councils where they all come together. It is a cultural system that also allowed for that economic power to thrive. And that is what I'm talking about here, because when we say that, look, Black community has been displaced, disrupted, all that. Okay, fine, whatever. But we're here. We care. We matter. We are out here. We're putting our voices out there. We have all these allies, ultimately creating that sense of collectivism to really have a real framework to build that economic power is totally what we need right now. Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly, bro.
Yeah, it would be interesting just to I'm gonna reach out to the state political parties, to the Democrat and the Republicans, and be like, man, what do you feel are major accomplishments that you've achieved for Black people in this state over the last 20, 30 years in this constant decline? Because if all of it is we funded this program for whatever, it's almost like if all the state Republican Party and the state Democrat Party can do is be like, well, man, we gave them fish, and can't nobody say that they taught us how to fish or gave us a pole to fish on our own, then man, what have you really done? And so, it's this election time. It's time. Well, let's hold people accountable, because men lie, women lie, they and them lie, but numbers don't lie. And Black people have been in constant decline here in the Emerald City for decades and decades. Before we get out of here, Trey, I'm just feeling myself today. We got to bring this back up. I'm so happy. The Seattle Association of Black Journalists, You know, I finally feel it's funny because early on, like I said, we were on Nightline, on NBC, on Fox, on CNBC, on BBC, and people like, how's it feel or whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, you know, because I've been in this media my whole career, but this now I feel like I've arrived.
Yeah.
My colleagues in the Seattle Association of Black Journalists have welcomed me in with open arms. And this is going to be such an honor, and I'm super excited about it. And like I said, and want all you guys to join us November 14th. Like I said, tickets are only $10, $5 for students, and all the proceeds go to a scholarship program to uplift voices for up-and-coming journalists here in Seattle. If you benefit from Converge, if you benefit from our perspective, if you benefit literally from a Black perspective, man, help uplift more voices. Get a ticket. Like I said, go to eventbrite.com. You can put in my name, and this page right here will pop up.
So awesome. You know what? You have earned it, bro. Been working hard. I have seen you. Sleepless nights, sleepless weekends, okay? Sleepless weeks almost. I mean, I've seen you putting in the work, bro. So to get this honor from the business, you know, from the actual journalist community, Black journalist community, to me, I know how much it means to you. And so I'm over here beaming right along with you, bro. Congrats.
Man, it's definitely a great feeling, man. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get out of here. I'm standing up over here.
You know I am.
All right, so we're out of here. Programming notes. You know, I got to throw this in there. Vote Black Love, the very first episode that we ran. It did it very well with the Yarbros. You can find episode 1 up there on our Facebook page and our YouTube page. This Sunday, we got the Turners. They're going to be on here. Thursday night, we've got Mike Davis and Julia Jesse for post-debate analysis. And, also, we got Chats with Trey on
Chats
Friday.
with Trey, yeah. Isaiah Anderson, beloved community member, doing some great work. So excited to catch in with him.
All right. Well, until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought.